Hey, I think a lot of you out there by now have heard the stories that federal agents in camouflage are going around in unmarked vehicles and just randomly disappearing people off the streets in Portland, Oregon. Now, I know everyone in the gun community couldn't possibly support something like this. This is something we've warned about for a long time. And a lot of people have been looking to me since I live in the area to say, well, what's really going on up there? And I've been reluctant to say anything up to this point because I didn't have a lot of information. But now I have actually gotten some firsthand information. I've actually got to speak to people that are reporters locally. I actually got to speak to one person whose friend got picked up. And I wanted to kind of go over what I see is happening up here right now. Now, of course, it would be a horrible thing if, like I said, unmarked federal agents in camouflage were going around in unmarked cars, just disappearing people or just taking people off the street and even holding them for any substantial period of time. But what I'm actually seeing, what the things I can actually see that are happening, is that federal agents that are, the government doesn't want them here. Let's just say that off. The mayor doesn't want them here. The legislator doesn't want them here. The governor doesn't want them here or there, because I'm not actually in Oregon. But here's the thing. There's a question about whether the sheriff's department asked them to be there, because apparently the Multnomah County Sheriff's, where Portland is, and the Clark County Sheriff, or not Clark County, Clackamas County Sheriff's Office, they have kind of a joint task force thing. And one of them could have asked for the federal agents' help. But here's what I'm seeing. And even with that aside, I want to deal with what they're actually doing. So they may not be there completely uninvited. Let's just get that on the table right away. But even if they are there uninvited, they are still protecting a federal building, which they have every right to do. And after talking to people and seeing what's going on and trying to put two and two together and using what common knowledge I have of such tactics, it doesn't appear to me like they're disappearing anybody. It looks to me like what they're doing is they are in the federal building. They are using video surveillance to see people performing vandalism, graffiti, etc. And then when they see someone, they send troops out, they pick them up for, what they just did. Now, granted, a lot of the people doing this, they're wearing the same basic uniforms. They're all, and this is a basic tactic that you do when you do stuff like this. You'll get 50 of you together or whatever, how many you have. You'll all dress very similarly. One person will run out, do something, and then mix back in the crowd so that it's hard to tell who it is. So what they're doing is, it looks to me like they're seeing people engaging in graffiti, vandalism, other illegal acts. They're going out and picking them up. And sometimes they're losing track of them and then saying, okay, it could be one of these 5 people. So they pick them up, they take them, they detain them for a short period of time, cite who they believe actually did the crime, and then let them go. Right now, we can't properly arraign people because of coronavirus and the violence, etc., going on downtown. So they can't actually do like a formal arraignment and take them in front of a judge. So what they're doing is basically, here's your ticket, you're going to get a court date later, and they let them go. I haven't been able to find one person that was disappeared. That I haven't found one person who said, yeah, my friend got taken last night and we've not seen him since, or he got taken 3 days ago and no one knows where he's at. Pretty much every story I got to hear was, oh, they picked him up, rounded him up in a van, and we didn't see him till like 3 hours later, and he said he'd been ticketed for graffiti. So that doesn't sound to me like government agents disappearing people in unmarked vans. It seems to me like government agents subduing and detaining people who are suspected of committing a crime, not even arresting them, just citing them, and then letting them go, to show up at court later. And I think I saw, what I was able to find was information on, I think it was like 9 separate people that have actually been charged during the night that they were really talking about. And all of them were for graffiti or vandalism. And after they would round up 3 or 4 of them, and then they would determine which one did it, they'd give them a ticket, they'd let them all go. They didn't even ticket all of them. They could have just ticketed all of them. It's just, is that you on the camera? Well, here, prove it in court that it isn't. But it looks to me like this whole notion of federal agents rounding up people on the streets in unmarked vehicles and disappearing them is garbage. It's bunk. Now, If I at any time find different information where I think, well, they are doing that, I'll be the first to let you know. I think you know that. But for right now, what I'm seeing is federal agents protecting a federal building in a way that creates the least actual violence. Because if they went out there and lined up around the building, well, then there'd be people throwing bottles at them and everything else. And then they would end up into, where they're clubbing people and spraying people with pepper spray. It would be a violent act. What they're doing, the way they're doing it, with using video surveillance and quick pickup techniques, taking them to a third place, saying, here's your ticket, come to court, seems to me like what they're doing is avoiding violence and not violating anyone's right. If you happen to be dressed exactly the same as your buddy who's committing a crime, and then you get picked up by the police, you don't get to say, it's false arrest. It'd be like, well, why are you fucking dressed exactly the same? And why were you harboring the person who committed the crime? So I don't see a lot of teeth to this story right now, and I don't see a lot of credibility to it right now. I know a lot of people want to make Donald Trump look bad, so they're trying to promote the story. I don't really care about making Donald Trump look good or look bad. Don't really give two shits one way or the other. But like I said, right now, not seeing any evidence that people are being disappeared. I don't know of one person that has actually disappeared for more than a couple hours. And a couple hours seems pretty damn quick to me to be picked up, taken somewhere, them sort out who was actually on the film doing it, and giving them a ticket and letting everybody go. So seems to me like that's been a pretty expedient process to be ticketed. So I don't really see the problem right now. Now, I do see the optics issue, that people see it as what they see it as. But like I said, I think everyone out there knows I'd be the first person to be screaming foul if I thought the government was breaking up, legitimate protest. But that's not what I'm seeing right now. What I'm seeing right now is, like I said, federal officers who have every legal right to be there and may have even been asked to be there by the county sheriffs that are engaging in a type of law enforcement that creates the least contact between the police and the people who are upset. It's creating the least chance for violence, and all it's doing is inconveniencing some people for a couple of hours while they get their ticket. It takes a lot longer than that to get picked up, taken downtown, arraigned, going in front of a judge, etc. You'll be there till the next day, easily, way more than a couple hours. So I'm not seeing any problem right now. Definitely not anything nefarious or anti-American. But like I said, I'll keep you updated. If I find out anything different, I'll be the first person to let you know.